Hey, welcome back to the Hotel Orloff. It's about -2 degrees, and we're here in Rural Retreat, Virginia, day after the big blizzard. These are the stairs going down, and like a sword of Damocles, we have icicles over our head. Let's get back in where it is not -2 degrees. And, oh, look at this. This is pretty spectacular. Look at the frosted windows. I couldn't have done what I did yesterday when I was showing you the snow coming down, because the windows look like this now. Yes, indeed. So it's going to get down to -14 later in the day. So as the sun comes out, it's actually supposed to get colder. And then I keep forgetting what day it is because I've had so much time off of work. But it is now Saturday morning, 11:40 a.m. and there's Sunday, and then Monday everyone's supposed to get out and vote, and I don't think the temperature is going to go up high enough to melt a single molecule of this snow. So I don't know. It's almost like it was planned, but we don't want to get conspiratorial here. We just need to get out there and vote for Trump. Somehow, some way. Anyway, comic books. We're trying to stay warm here in Rural Retreat, Virginia. Okay, so we've had some requests to look at DVDs, and we could do that, except that requires that I go down in the basement, and I guess I could, but right now, and we've had requests to look at famous monsters, and I did that recently, but I'll do it again because I'll look at I'll look at my famous monsters collection every day for forever, So I'll do that soon in a episode coming up, maybe later this afternoon. There were supposed to be 2 Donald Trump speeches today. One was canceled, I think, because of the snow, and one is going to be later on tonight, but it's going to be a virtual one where he's like coming in from somewhere else because the weather. So what do we got here in this box? This is Weird Secret Origins. This isn't an old comic. It's made to look like an old comic with the giant. It's very well done, actually. And they didn't put the UPC code on the front. They put it on the back, so that was smart. Question is, when was this done? And I lent my magnifying glass to my wife, so oh boy, I really need that. 2004, which to me is recent, but I guess this is a 20-year-old comic. So, I don't think 20 years is old, but I got to think, when in 1974, during some of the early days of my collecting of comics, something that was 10 years old from 1964 seemed impossibly old. In 1954, 20 years old, that was just unthinkably old, like the EC comics and everything. Well, so this probably isn't a very expensive book, and this is something you could get. It has the origins of Dr. Fate, Enchantress, Animal Man, Metamorpho, Congorilla, El Diablo, Bizarro, and the Spectre. That is an amazing I need to be reading this afternoon instead of doing another show, which I don't know. Well, we got to 666 evil subscribers yesterday, and then I think we're up to 673 now. And Meyer sent me a text, Meyer Greenblatt, and said all of a sudden I've been getting a lot of subscribers, more than usual, and about this. It's kind of weird. We both have 673 subscribers right at the moment. It's kind of weird. I wonder how many of those people are mutual subscribers. It's I would imagine a lot of them. Okay. Well, this is a W box apparently, or no. This is actually labeled DC War and Humor. So it looks like I've got Weird War Tales #1, which I understand normal people are starting to collect. By normal, I mean people that are in this hobby just for speculation, like they were with baseball cards not that long ago. And they don't really have a childhood attachment, most of them, to these comics. They're just buying them for sport, and they're only picking up key issues. It's like, it's like a deer hunter, looks for deer with a certain number of points on their antlers, right? So these new comic collectors, they're only looking for key issues that like a deer with a bunch of impressive antlers, so they can mount it on their wall. And that's what these new comic collectors do. They just want the key issues, and they want to put them on their wall. And pretty soon, I'm sure the bottom will fall out of the comic book market, and they'll get into some other field of collecting. Let's at least hope. Anyway, this is Weird War Tales #1. Weird War was a comic that meant a lot to me as a kid because I love monsters, I love skeletons, and this is right about the time this comic came out, right about the time that I really started collecting comics. But this is not my childhood copy. I'll show when we get to the first Weird War I bought. I'll show you. I'll point out. I always point out the childhood copies usually. I don't have the second issue. Maybe I can buy that because it's not a key issue. I don't know if it is. I mean, issue 1 would be a key issue, and of course the first Creature Commandos. I wonder if I have the first Creature Commandos. I have a bunch of the Creature Commandos, but that's something I probably need to get on. I need to get on that because there's a cartoon animated series that James Gunn is making that's going to be coming on before too long about the Creature Commandos, and it's going to involve the island with all the dinosaurs that the GIs fought in World War II, and I'm sure that with James Gunn's involvement, it won't be terrible. So the value of that first Creature Commandos is probably going up, I'm imagining, or will. Okay, so we're in the late Nixon age of comics. When you see this 52 pages, only 25 cents. Comics were going from 15 cents to 20 cents. But DC thought, well, maybe... Is there a full in that? No, it's an illusion. DC, the bag has got a crease, and it makes it look like the comic has a crease. DC thought, well, instead of going to 20 cents, why don't we make the comics bigger and charge a quarter? And Marvel did that for 1 month. Then they pulled back, and then anyway, before long, both companies were at 20 cents. And 20 cents, when comics went to 20 cents, that's when I consider to be the beginning of the Bronze Age for me. But I've started calling that the late Nixon age, and I would say the early Nixon age would be the 15-cent comics. And then as soon as they started going this 25 cent, then 20 cent, I would consider that the late Nixon age. And 25 cent comics are going to be the Ford age. Of course, Ford replaced Nixon when Although, you know, Nixon was demonized so much in the media, and now I realize that you can't trust the media. So you have to sort of, you know, rethink. Was Nixon the horrible person that they always said he was? Man, here's the 10th grade issue of Weird War. I don't know. I'm sure that's blasphemy to you. Not that it's the 10th grade issue, but that Nixon could have possibly been a president. He sure was a better president than LBJ. Of course, LBJ had well, no. I was going to say LBJ era of comics was better. That was the mid-60s. You know, you had the Galactus trilogy, and Marvel was really cooking, and DC had the Legion of Superheroes and Doom Patrol and all that great stuff, Metal Men and all that great stuff. But the Bronze Age was pretty great too. The Bronze Age was pretty great, and that's when I started. The LBJ age, that was my older brother's time, and I collected it all later. Not all. I don't have ever. Some of you collectors out there have every single Silver Age comic and every single Bronze Age comic. I can't afford that. You also are a little bit older than me, so you started, or maybe you chose a profession that paid a little bit more money than I did. But I'm recording this. I've got to pause it. Recording the X-22 report, which used to be on YouTube, but it was banned from YouTube. So now you have to watch it on Rumble every morning. It's actually kind of fun. X-22 report. I think there's a Marvel. Is there a Marvel character called X-23? I think it's the little girl Wolverine. I don't know. I wasn't reading comics in that time period. But I believe that to be the case. But anyway, I don't even know what X-22 means. I'm sure you guys know. Okay, so what to put on? We need some music to look at comics. Oh, let's get some battle sounds since we're looking at Weird War books. Let me go to YouTube and I'll type in combat sounds. That'll be great. Weird War is the only comic book. You know, I talked to my father as a kid, and what comics did you read as a kid? And I've told you this before. He always said he remembered reading Captain Midnight and Superman, and he was into a comic called True, which is probably the most boring thing a kid in the golden age or the Roosevelt age of comics could have chosen. It's True comics. I'm sure it was great, but you know, if you were choosing True over all those other books that were out at the time, that's not what I would have chosen. But anyway, so as far as comics go, and my father was kind of he didn't really start showing a whole lot of emotion until he was later on in life. He was in the Army, and he was, you know, kind of worked a whole lot, and anyway, I had a Weird War comic. You'll see it here in a minute, and I actually saw him pick it up and start reading it, and it's like, so that's the only comic time I ever saw my dad as an adult. And man, how old would he have been then? 27. He was born about 27 to 30. He was probably about 10 years younger than me. He was probably about 47. I'm 58, about to be 59. So, you know, and I was in, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade, and this issue, he picked up an issue of Weird War, was reading it. And I thought, wow, I just couldn't imagine my father reading a comic book, you know. So, I will show you that book momentarily. All right. War sounds, urban warfare ambiance. You don't often hear the word ambiance used with, we'll probably have to sit through a YouTube commercial in order to hear the gunfire. Let's see what commercial. Oh no, it just starts right. All right, very good. You didn't know that YouTube could be used to simulate combat? Very good. This is nice to sleep to. Okay. What in the name of heck? Okay. Here is Weird War number 15. And hold on, man. This is the one I was talking about. This is my first issue of Weird War, and this is the one that my father picked up and was reading. Weird War number 20. You know, and he was a big history buff, so he's probably noticed the uniforms they had on. And let's open this up, since this is a key issue for me. To me, if you're going to use that stupid term key issue, it's going to be for issues that meant a lot to me. And this is the one that my father actually picked up in his 40s, probably for the first time he touched a comic book, you know, since he was a teenager. Well, so I'm trying to see what he would have seen. He would have seen this great Alfredo Alcala art. Man. Let's see what when this would have come out. Because this was a new book when he picked it up, because I'd just gotten it, you know, and I had it there, a little stack of comics there in the living room. Oh, wow, my eyesight. December 73. So whatever month you see in the indicia, I believe that's how you pronounce this section down here, that gives you all the information, which in comics of this time period, it's always going to be on the inside front page. Although some comics, you'll see it here on the front cover. It says December 73, and but they'd always date comics 2 months ahead, so they could stay on the newsstand for a couple of months. So you count back to November and then to October. So this came out in October, Halloween time of 73, which would have been my 3rd grade year. And and I bought that also. The House of, or I don't know, did I say I bought it when I'm in 3rd grade, or my mother bought this for me with my direction? This House of Mystery treasure. Well, DC didn't call them treasury editions. They called them limited collector's editions. Oh, boy. Basically, Death would narrate all the stories like the Crypt Keeper would for Tales from the Crypt. Weird War, basically, Death was your host. Oh, and I were such wonderful memories. This is my childhood copy, obviously, as well. I think I told you that. Don Perlin is the artist here. I had and still have this Smash Up Derby. Yeah. Never had these wall decals. Never knew anyone that had them. Although I've seen people on YouTube that had these, put them on the front of comic book boxes, and it looks very spectacular and spruces up a comic room. Are you going to a commercial, YouTube? You're interrupting my a GMC Sierra ad. Okay, so the Pirates of the Caribbean ad is just a 2-page spread. Earlier in 1972, it used to be a 4-page spread. It used to start here, but I guess they compressed it and put some of the kits in small form there. The one that I have is Dead Men Tell No Tales. I don't know if I still have all the parts to it. I might. I need to see. I still got the box with some parts in it. If I have all the parts, I ought to, put that thing together. Or better yet, someday when I have money, which probably will never happen unless Trump gets elected, I will maybe just find someone that has talent, that's already built one, that's selling it on eBay, and buy it that way. 'Cause Yeah, it's my childhood copy, so it's you probably consider it good condition. I don't. I still resist using numbers for comic book condition. I just still with poor, good, fine, mint. That's how I roll. Man, they're cursing. Who would curse in combat, man? Let's see here. This is issue 22. As an X22 report on Rumble. These that I'm showing you are all now childhood copies, 23. I'd like to fill in the holes in my collection. Yeah, I ought to do that one of these days. 24. 25. So I have this one I bought later. This is not a childhood copy because, I remember the comic set as a kid. Also, I wasn't that rough with a comic where with the staples there. That the original owner of this comic was a little rougher. Okay. All right. I have 3 copies of this next issue. Okay. This one is not my childhood copy because of the red mark there where it says 20 cents and the general condition it's in. This one is not my childhood copy because I was never that rough with a comic book, man. So this one would have to be my childhood copy. What I like to do is the way I do it in the box, now those other 2 issues I think I bought accidentally, forgetting I don't know why, or maybe they were for sale for $0.25 and I thought, hey, this is a great cover. In fact, Graphic Man recreated this drawing as a big giant painting or drawing. This is issue 26. Let's open it up and look at it. What I do is I put my childhood copy last. The other copy is in front, and then my childhood copy will be last. If I was smart, I'd write it on the backing board, childhood copy, Usually I don't have to because I can remember, but when you've got 3 copies, the reason I chose this one to take it out is I noticed it's got a tear, and my OCD is telling me to fix that and then slide it back into the bag. So, right there. I don't like that. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with the caucus on Monday night. How it's going to go down if a lot of people aren't going to be able to. There's a supermarket a block away from me, so I could get there. But I probably could get there while this video's ending and get supplies, but I don't know if work's going to happen Monday or not. Let's see what this one's like. There's lots of people that have put up war sounds on YouTube. This one is called War Sounds Urban Warfare Ambiance as Real as It Gets. Alfredo Alcala is a great artist, or was a great artist. Don't believe he's still alive. I used to know everything. It's been flushed from my memory. More than likely a Filipino artist. In the Philippines, they have Spanish names. Remember this ad for the Mego dolls? They were called Mego dolls. They were not called Mego action figures. That is a term that came along later as adult collectors were embarrassed to be buying dolls, so they call them action figures because that's more masculine. G.I. Joe, of course, when he first was brought to the market in, was it 64, 65, probably 64, they called him a man of action. And in England, the G.I. Joe wasn't sold as G.I. Joe, he was sold as Action Man. So maybe that's where people got the action figure term, I don't know. Oh, look at, all the 8 tracks you could possibly want. And they were selling a famous first edition of Detective Comics 27 and this Captain Marvel limited collector's edition. A Time to Die. But then look at this, again, this wonderful ad for these soldiers that were this tiny. I always liked that a bullet hole right through. It's kind of weird. The Germans are wearing white helmets. It's all right. We'll forgive. So, appreciate all of you yesterday that watched my live stream where I streamed the blizzard coming in, and I think later in this week it's supposed to get down to minus 45. I don't know how. Last year it got down to minus 15, and that may be the coldest I've ever experienced. I lived in Germany for 3 years as a little kid, and I had the proper gear. My mom had me set up as a little kid, as a kindergartner, as a first grader. I had snow boots and gloves or mittens or whatever the heck. It was probably mittens. I remember mittens. They're blue mittens is in my memory. And I had everything, on, a cap, everything, a scarf. I'm like I don't know what I'm used to living in Texas, where it can snow and it can get deep in that north part of Texas I lived in, but I need gloves, man. I need gloves here. Oh, I must have bought this from the same store that I bought that other weird war that had the red mark through the 20 cent, because they're probably marking out 20 cent at some used bookstore or at a garage sale or something. So this looks clearly like it was from the same collection as that other one. My dog is looking around trying to figure out where all these voices are coming from. I shouldn't be playing all this combat noise, upsetting my dog. 27. That was issue 27. Over the years, I'd buy these when I found them. This is not a childhood copy either. But I never saw them very often because most comic stores didn't carry westerns, they didn't carry war comics, they didn't carry romance comics or Harvey comics or Gold Key. Most comic stores are strictly superhero comic stores. 29. I was reading this morning, Bob Bierbaum on Facebook writes these long articles, and eventually all of those articles are going to be put together in a book that he's putting together called Comic Store Wars, about the history of comic book stores, and hopefully he gets that book finished. Yeah, someone wrote 15 here on the code stamp. So someone bought it, 5 cents less, 20 cents, 20 cent comic. Anyway, he's talking about, he opened comic store in San Francisco, and had a whole chain of them with his partner, and of course they had, it was called Comics and Comics with an X, C-O-M-I-X, and they sold underground comics, and you know, underground comics were distributed differently than these newsstand comics, and because the comic books, the direct distribution of comics that started in the late 70s, where they were sold to comic stores and on a non-returnable basis, and then you stopped seeing them in the drugstores and 7-Elevens. That really started with the underground comics. That's they would, and in between the underground comics, big boom of underground comics that started in, what, 67, lasted until the early 70s. There were the underground comics, then there were these ground level comics that were distributed directly to comic stores, and I kind of forget about them. And then the above ground, the mainstream comics started to get distributed strictly to comic stores, and the ones that were in between were comics like Star Reach, and there was one called Quack, and Cerebus was one of them, Cerebus the Aardvark, and there was the First Kingdom that was done by Jack Katz, and Jack Katz had been, you know, he was doing pre-code horror art. It was really cool in the early 50s, but so now it's mid-70s, maybe around 1974, and he's in his 40s, and to Bob Bierbaum, who was 20, and to his employee who was 17 years old, the 17-year-old told him, hey, there's this old man down the street that's trying to put together a comic book, and they went and looked at it, and it was great, but he'd only done 2 pages, and he figured out a way to self-print, to become a publishing company and sell that comic directly to comic stores. But anyway, I remember the First Kingdom. I never bought a copy of it. I kind of looked at those comics with a little bit of chagrin, the Star Reach and things. They didn't look that interesting to me. Maybe they would be now. I mean, the Undergrounds were interesting to me because I thought their art was wild, and of course comics like this were. I think I just already showed you that. That's 43. 45. 48. I should be writing on the top of this box which ones I need. Do I have a pen in my pocket? Yeah. I'll do that later. That means I'll never do it. What is that? Oh, I have 2 copies of 48. We're getting into the UPC code era, so that means when you see the UPC code and you see that's 30, we're in the Carter age of comics. Jimmy Carter was president. And I'm pretty sure that 30... Yeah, I think Carter was president through the 30 and 35 cent. By the time the Reagan age of comics is probably indicated by a 40-cent price tag. Look at this one, man. Joe Kubert art. Actually, people are messing me up. I've always said Joe Kubert, and I hear so many people on YouTube saying Kubert. And so now I'm starting to say it just to try to agree. But then Shannon on Comic Book Memories, he went to the Joe Kubert School of Drawing, of Art, and so he should know how to pronounce the name. And so I go back to my childhood pronunciation of Joe Kubert, which starts to sound wrong because of that weird video game that came along with the little weird guy with the nose that bounced from block to block. 53. Another copy of 53. You don't need to see every copy of 53. Here's a copy of 54. And then there's another copy of 54. Here's 57. Here is 58. Now these covers, you know, let's say 58 sells for $5 or $7. This comic might sell for 15 or 20 because there are people that collect Hitler covers. And so, I mean, it's a known fact that covers that have Hitler on it being punched or whatever they're doing to Hitler, or in this case, these space aliens are unfreezing him. Yeah, they probably shouldn't do that. Go unfreeze Walt Disney instead. Actually, you probably should never unfreeze Walt Disney. If he saw what people did to his vision, to his company, to his studio, what Disney has become today, he'd just, you imagine, he's supposedly cryogenically frozen. This is a, I don't know, urban legend, whatever. So let's say he's frozen and you unfreeze him and bring him back to life, and then he immediately drops dead in horror after seeing what people, that would be a good Twilight Zone script. Number 60, Weird War, a novel-length chiller. It is not the Hindenburg, because this is a Zeppelin that's falling onto a field of combat. And at first I thought those were grenades, but they actually look like flying saucers. This is a great comic. The Ramones, when I say the Ramones, Joey and Johnny Ramone, Weird War was their favorite comic. And I say that with authority because my friend who's passed away knew the Ramones. He directed one of their videos, and I think I've read it in an interview with them as well. This was a comic that they loved. 61. Probably more Johnny Ramone than Joey Ramone. 62. Johnny Ramone collected war memorabilia and pre-code horror comics and old horror movie posters. So he got along very well with my friend, who collected all of those things as well. 63. A dog's running around acting crazy, like she don't got no sense. 64. I don't know if I've ever done a Weird War episode before. Yes, I think I have. But I go back and some video popped up on YouTube yesterday, and it was an old video of mine that only had like 60 views, and it was a good one from back when I lived in Texas. And I thought, man, people should go back and watch my old videos. They were much better. This is number 65. I kind of fixed the tripod. You know, I was having trouble with it yesterday with a lot more duct tape. 66. You pronounce it duct, D-U-C-T, like you use the tape to fix air ducts with a T at the end? Or do you pronounce it duck, like Donald Duck? I think there is a brand of duct tape called duct tape, which confuses it even more. This is 67. Oh, look at that. Nice illustration. Oh, man. 68. Oh, I have 2 copies of 68. Almost dropped this one. I just said I wasn't going to show you all the copies I have. Here's 69. We're surrounded by mutants in the city of death. That's what I started to say back in Arlington, which is why we moved. 70. What time is it, man? 12:20. And you're still watching. 71. Oh, this cover. Yeah. Will anyone emerge alive from the death camp? And there's death coming, I guess, coming for this guy that's kind of a pretty intense cover there. 74. '76. I don't think this. Did this comic get to what did it get to? About 130 issues? I'm not sure. 77. I think when the Creature Commandos appeared, they were over issue 100. Let's see if I'm correct. Oh, here's one with a. Sometimes these comics would get miscut, and it cut off the number there because it's got a little. Now, this is not a comic I bought as a kid, and you know that because it's got a price tag here. But I would always make sure there wasn't a lot of white showing at the spine when I bought these at the stand. I would make sure they were just perfect. 81. This is one that I bought off the stand, and you can see I make sure it's perfect. See, you shall live forever as part of my experiment. Oh man, these are so great. Here's 82. I think that means I got it from Gotham City Comics. I'm pretty sure. That's his price tag. I think he said those are his old price tags. 85. 87. Yeah, I think I bought a whole bunch of these from Kevin Johnson at Gotham City Comics. Here's issue number 88, which is located in Mesa, Arizona. Give him a call. He's got a comic store that's also monster-oriented. So he has lots of monster toys and masks and Godzilla stuff. That's issue 99. No, it's 90. Here's 92. '95. Some of the story, a lot of the stories were World War II, but they really were about all kinds, many different wars. Here's 96. '99. I think I'm going to make a Hungry Man frozen dinner when I'm done with this video, and then I'm going to 99. Then I'm gonna watch some YouTube and pet my dog, and then maybe do another show later. Someone was showing this the other day. Was it on? I don't know what show that was. It was probably Four Color Fossils. What is the matter, Drew the dog? This one is 101. Is it the first appearance of G.I. Robot? Yes. Introducing. This was probably one that needs to be bagged and boarded. I think I have one bag and board left upstairs, courtesy of Charlton 66 sending me a Christmas gift. Yeah, okay, so this is gonna be a key issue for the key issue morons, and they're gonna all be seeking after this because he'll be in the Creature Commandos coming up in a short while. I need to feed this dog. I mean, I fed him this morning. Did he eat? I call him he, even though he's a she. I misgender him because I tend to refer to all dogs as boys and all cats as girls. You didn't even eat your breakfast, Drew. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? Drew, I need to be careful because we're snowed in. I don't want to... Okay, Drew, come on over here. She did puke a little this morning, so your stomach's been out of order. Set this camera down. Will it stand? Ah, the mighty duct tape is making the tripod work. Ah, shit. Dropped the dog food, got it on my hand. I mean, it's okay. It's still there. It's just... Now I gotta go wash my hands, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're watching on YouTube. For veterans that missed combat, I need to shut up. Yeah, I think people that watch these YouTube videos are probably people that have never been in combat. Usually people that have been in combat are not like real thrilled about it, about talking about it. People that talk the most a lot of times are people that didn't do much. Okay. Okay, I'll just set this down, man. I dare you. It's hard to wash my hands when I'm holding a tripod. I don't want to get dog food slime on key issues of Weird War magazine. I think I might show Mad Magazine and Cracked Magazine in the next video. Because I got Gary Davis, also known as Bone Daddy, on yesterday's program, was showing some of his Mad magazines from on the show yesterday, and that made me think maybe I should pull out my Mads. And Cracked was a magazine that I loved. I can't tell you, every time I go into a drugstore or a supermarket, I'd run to the newsstand. Is there a new issue of Mad or Cracked? Or a new Mad special? Or a Biggest Greatest Cracked? Or Super Cracked? Or whatever. And it would be so exciting to see a new one on the stands. It really was exciting. Okay, so again, here are the windows. Has it warmed up any outside? Yeah, the neighbor came by in an all-terrain vehicle with a big scoop on the front and cleaned my, shoveled the snow in my driveway. There's still some snow there that I need to get before I could ever back my car out. I mean, it's a circular driveway, but I know I can't go forward. That would not work. Anyway, the precipitation has stopped, and there's no precipitation in the forecast, but it's just going to be brutal temperatures, and I don't see this melting. I mean, there are some icicles, but I don't see them dripping. Just the sunlight alone, I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything. I'm just glad it's not 1872. Okay. Okay, well, Drew, I put your food over there. Come on. She's like pulling at my pant legs here. Drew, the food's there. Come on. I can't take her for a walk. That's not an option. Now, that may be what she's wanting, but that won't work. She's got little doggy pads that she can go to. Because, okay, ladies and gentlemen. Someone just said the F word. That's not nice. You need to say nice words while you're in intense urban combat. Okay. GI Combat 101. Weird War 101. What does that sell for now? Guys, tell me in the comments down below. Oh, no, don't drink. She's chewing on my water bottle, man. How dare you? How dare you? You ruined my childhood. with your carbon footprints. Oh my gosh. Well. Drew, your food's over there, man. She's not gonna let me look at comic books here. I have to lift this up and put it on my lap, or she's not gonna allow this to happen. Okay. 99. Okay. 99. 101. So I need issue 100. Here is 102. Creature Commandos are here now. I do not have 103. I have 104. I've got a book in the other room that reprints all of the Creature Commandos stories. 106. There's a different variation on the Creature Commandos. I think they did in the 90s or early 2000s or something like that. So I think James Gunn may do a combination of the two. 108. Okay, now it's Creature Commandos have pretty much been given main billing. It's now Weird War Tales at the top, featuring the Creature Commandos, and it says, plus the return of G.I. Robot. And there's Hitler there. He doesn't really look that much like Hitler, but oh well, they tried. And I have 2 copies of this issue. 108. Okay, she's starting to go back to sleep. Good. So, that's that. 109. 109. I bought this at Duncanville Books because they put their books in these nicer sleeves. This really is the time that I should be making sure I have filled in my holes in these Creature Commando. Although I say that, but did the Peacemaker show really make the Vigilante comics go up in price, or maybe the Charlton Peacemaker comics? But they weren't they kind of already high in price? I don't know. You really can't speculate. I don't speculate. I try to fight against the speculators. When the speculators start sniffing around stuff that I like that I just never finished the runs of, or boy, I hate that word runs. It just sounds like diarrhea. I never finished my collection of them. It's a better way to say it than runs. Here, Weird War Tales 113, G.I. Robot's been given the full billing. And 118, oh, this is a great cover. I don't know if this is the last issue of Weird War or what. It's a wonderful Gil Kane cover. You really can see up G.I. Robot's nose because it's like his whole bottom part of his face is his nose. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. And then I have Weird Western Tales, number 13. Before Jonah Hex became big enough that they gave him bigger billing. I think I showed you these books the other day. And here, still Weird Western Tales, and it's a Jonah Hex story. They do bill him at the top there. I think I showed you these a few episodes back, so I need to switch to another box here. And say, yeah, I did show you these. Either I showed them to you here, or I showed them to you on Four Color Fossils. That might have been where I did it. What in the name of what? Let's see. Yeah, it's all weird Western tales. And then you've got Weird Worlds. Wait, Weird Worlds was Edgar Rice Burroughs. But then Weird Worlds number 8 is like some original DC creation, Iron Wolf. So I probably should put this with my Weird Worlds Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff. Here's the first issue of Witching Hour, which is one of the great horror comics of that Nixon Age of Comics, formerly known as the Bronze Age of Comics. Actually, no, I would consider this Silver Age, but so it'd be early Nixon Age of Comics. This is number 17, and the one coming up, let me figure this out. All right, this one is significant to me because this is one of the oldest comics in my collection. This is one I bought off the newsstand, but it wasn't this one. It would be... This is my childhood copy. It's been with me since it came out. And that's number 21. Here's 27. This is not a childhood copy because the green dot tells me I got it at Duncanville Books, but isn't it great? It's like a ghost train lifting off into the sky. Of course, the witching, now that I'm not showing you war books, the war sound effects no longer make any sense. So let's see what we can find. Wasn't one of the horror sound, one of the horror sound effects records you could buy from the ads in the comic books, wasn't it Honor House? Let me see, or one was Gale wasn't it Gale? Honor House. Let's see if my memory is right. I can't remember my phone number. Every time I have to look up my phone number, which I remember my old phone number from when I was growing up as a kid, but my wife and I had our numbers changed. I can't remember it, but I can remember trivial things like who put out a horror sound effects record, possibly. Let's see if I can. Honor House. Oh, I should just look up the Eerie Publications video that someone did with the really great, it was the Johnson Smith sound effects record, which I don't think is copywritten. Honor House Horror. Oh, come on. So how are you guys doing in this wonderful snow? You enjoying it? Oh, man. Honor House Horror. Oh, I get something. Man. Damn. Let's see. Clear. We'll just put Eerie. Yeah. Eerie Publications. Yeah, was it been about 15 years ago? Someone took the covers of Eerie Publications horror magazines and animated them and set it to a sound effects record that you used to be able to get in comics. And let's see. Here it is, and it's the Johnson Smith one. Okay, wonderful, fantastic. Okay, here's Witching Hour 28, the great Santa Claus cover. This is a childhood copy. 31. There's a lot of really overt Satanism, and you know, well, I'm saying, gosh, how is there Satanism in these witchcraft comics? But anyway, it's just like, I hate all that stuff, but I love horror comics. I can't really explain the what is the word? I can't think of the word. I'm getting worse than Joe Biden. Ouch. Hypocritical behavior. I hate Satanism, but look at this comic with Satan behind a kid who's got burning a candle for him. I can't explain it. Anyway, how about that? We're up to the forward age of comics. See, it says 25 cents. Alright, so the rest of those are witchy. Oh my gosh, dog. What are you bothered by? Yeah, look up Eerie Publications on YouTube. You'll find this video. If you've never seen it, it's amazing. This guy has, I forgot what his name is. I used to talk with him online. This guy did this.
Let us step into the torture chamber.
This is one of my favorite videos on YouTube. Let's see what Drew is barking at outside. Drew, what are you barking at out here? Oh my gosh. Here comes somebody with a little, maybe this guy, the streets are looking a little better, but you cannot see the actual pavement or cobblestone on this street here. Yeah. So.
Vampires.
All right. Okay. So, how are you guys doing? Pretty good? Let's see what's in this box. What is this? Why, it's material management for using units, support units, and installations from October of '71. Headquarters, Department of the Army. This is something of my father's. I don't know. I don't want to throw it away because it was my father's, and it put it in the front of this box. Here's something else that was my father's. Personal affairs pamphlet. So apparently you were supposed to update this. It looks like either my mother drew that must have been my mom doodling on this. It says Army General School, personal affairs pamphlet. And then he updated it at different points in the 1960s. I think if you're maybe deployed off to Vietnam or something, they want you to have all your personal affairs in order in case something happens to you. So let's see. Has his wife's name. Says, it has my brother's names. Here's me. I was born in Brooke General Hospital, Fort Sam Houston, Texas. So it says, do you have a checklist? Have you inventoried your belongings recently so that you could adequately support a claim for fire loss? Okay, it's all things. Power of attorney, inventory of property, insurance policies, will, where your safety deposit box is, government savings bonds. Wow. That's a trip. I mean, it means nothing to anyone but me. And here's a soldier's manual for infantrymen. From what era is this? This is a whole different. There are people that collect military stuff, militarium. You know, that's this would fall more into their. But since we're talking about weird war and stuff, we can. The guy about to fire a bazooka. What is this? Arming and electrical firing. Preparation of firing wire. Install and recover a mechanical ambush. So I guess this is showing you how to do that. I don't know. Anyway, it's in a box labeled Assorted Comic Book Magazines. And then I have a comic buyer's guide with this. To me, that's kind of, I find that rather ugly, that style of artwork. But you might love it, or maybe you're the guy that drew it, in which case I apologize. Here's Comic Book Marketplace from September 2004. Oh, this is what I was talking about on Four Color Fossils. Kurtzman and the magazines he did after Mad, like Trump and Help and Humbug and Little Annie Fanny. This is like really slick paper. I mean, this is article about Will Eisner. It's just different comic book creators. Here's a whole thing on Melvin the Monster. Another book I want to make sure I have all of the issues of. Miss America. That would be great if someone did a facsimile of that book, because I could never obviously afford that. What else is in this box? Here's a nostalgia magazine. Baby Boomer Collectibles. It's not just about comics, but this one is has EC in it. This next issue is Pez dispensers and John Wayne comics. This magazine came out January 94. Okay, a bunch of those. What is this? This is I think this is printed by Marvel to let the comic book stores know what's coming out. I guess so they know what to order. I think I saved it because it's got, Satana and Sales to Astonish. Of course, when is this from? February 1993. So I wonder if, Deadpool's in here or something, and then you can say, this is the first appearance of Deadpool because he appeared in this promotional booklet before his comic at the stands. Wouldn't that be cool if we discovered something like that? Yeah, this comic was selling for $50 not too long ago. It's a beautiful cover, but I think everyone became that TV show just destroyed anyone's interest in She-Hulk. Now there's one on Disney Plus that's like an R-rated looking. I guess it's Echo, and it's got Kingpin in it, and it's real violent, like the Netflix Marvel shows were, and I guess people are excited about that, and maybe, I don't know. Oh, this needs to be with my Alter Ego magazines. This is a really good issue, as I recall, of Alter Ego. It has an overview of this is why it got separated. It has an overview about the 1966 Marvel superheroes cartoons, which I dearly love, and you can see some of the Submariner ones on YouTube because I guess Disney isn't as litigious about that because they don't really own Submariner. That's why they had to change them. Partly why they changed him so much in that horrible movie that came out, that Black Panther 2. I think this was done for Crazy Magazine. Stan Lee lighting a cigar with money. But you can see you can get the Marvel 66 cartoons from the Internet Archive database or whatever, and you can go to that like on your phone, and you can beam it. You can beam it to your TV set. No, you beam it to your Roku box, and then you play it on your TV set. But if you have a Roku box, I would advise that you either get an old VHS recorder, or better, get a DVD recorder. They don't sell them anymore. They only sell them in Japan. They don't want people in the United States to own them. So you can get an old stock or maybe a lightly used DVD recorder from eBay or somewhere and hook that up to your Roku box. Roku is going to have a HDMI output, so you need to get a little box that converts HDMI to the old-fashioned RCA plugs, the red and white sound and the yellow video, and then plug that into your DVD recorder, and then have the DVD recorder go to your television, and that's how you can record off of YouTube. That's how you can record anything off of Roku, and you can have a physical copy on a DVD-R. So you've got to go backwards to old technology. I'm recording all the time, during, like I just stopped earlier, I was recording X22, because to me, those are going to be historical documents someday, just like the founding fathers. To me, it's like recording the founding fathers talk or something. It just, as far as historical documents about the tyranny we're going through, and hopefully the recovery we'll be going through. But you can record like that Eerie Publications, those little animated Eerie Publications. That definitely you'd want to record that, because things get pulled down off of YouTube all the time. You look, I want to see this video. Where does it go? It got pulled down. Why? If I wish I'd recorded more of the Crypt Keeper of Castle Hills. His channel was pulled down, and he had just done a 3-hour show, kind of dedicated to me and the way I do videos, and I wanted to record it, and then it got. I mean, he has all the stuff saved on his. There's Pete the cat. Uh-oh. This is going to be a real life Tom and Jerry. Now the dog is chasing after Pete the cat. That is not nice. Drew, leave Pete the cat alone. Anyway, I like to preserve things. That is my. That's my bag, man. Here is a beautiful Gray Morrow cover, but somehow it doesn't look beautiful just because the matte. It's something about this Charlton magazine with the matte surface instead of, if it was just glossier, or maybe they'd photographed it better, or I don't know what it is that I always left me with a blah feeling about a Gray Morrow painting, which was wonderful. I think they just photographed it wrong. Anyway, this is Space 1999. This came out when it was still on television. Lasted 2 seasons. Charlton got the rights to Space 1999 and did this book. I don't know what's in this box, honestly. I would not have expected Space 1999 to be in this box. Oh, the Betty Pages magazine. When it later became Tease and expanded to pin-up art of all types. And this the same people, Greg Theakston, put this magazine out. I've got like all of the issues here. That's a good magazine to look for. Here, let's see. What's interesting in here? I bet you could get these super cheap if you're. These are fantastic reprints of Dick Tracy comic strips, but as I recall, they're pretty easy to. Well, they used to be easy to find because the average comic book person isn't into that. Some issues of Comics Journal. Here's one with a Frazetta interview, but I've got to get these in with the Comics Journal magazines. They're in the wrong box. Here's some Film Threat magazines, Wizard. I'll show you if there's anything that's like interesting. I'll show it to you. Here's this Reminisce magazine. It's a nostalgia magazine for people in nursing homes, but I'm not trying to make fun of it, but that's really what it was for, is people nostalgic about the big band era, and I'm nostalgic for that, but I didn't live through that time period, so. But most of the people that would read that magazine are older. And some Omni magazines, not interested. I mean, they're all right. Okay, so what's in this box? Why, this episode's gone longer than just about any episode. It's going to end real soon because the memory on this phone is not, you never get to an hour and 18 minutes very often. So I think this episode's going to be going bye-bye pretty soon. And so see you next time, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Let's